Okay, so I left my headphones at home, and I'm like, okay, well, today I don't get to listen to anything other than my own thoughts. Yay! It is a feeling that I had yesterday when I couldn't record, and it was like, wow, why can't I communicate? Why can't I speak? I mean, I can speak, I can talk. I hope you can still hear me. I can speak, I can talk, but it's like not being able to fully convey a message or connect to the energy of what I'm trying to convey. It feels very internal, and at this present moment in time, my sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all natally represented in what's going on right now. Sun in Virgo, Moon in Leo, Venus and Mercury and Venus in Libra, and Mars in Virgo. Those are my natal placements, and so I do feel like I'm at home, and what home is very, there's a stillness, there is a calm. How to best describe that? The storm has already passed, and you're just looking around and like in shock. It's like the feeling of shock after something has transpired, but nothing has happened. So it's that kind of pause that I'm being given. I'm gonna smoke this cigarette, and I'm going to, I don't even know if I'm posting this video. I just needed to talk. Wanting to get very clear on where I'm taking these teachings, what I want to come of it, and really understanding more so how the parts of me that are being expressed through, my natal chart are really taking shape, taking form. What it really means to me. What does it mean to be a Mars in Virgo? What does it mean to be Libra, Venus, Mercury, Sun, Virgo, Leo, Leo Moon, Leo Lilith? Like, what do they actually mean? You can write that shit on Cafe Astrology and all of these sites. You're still not giving me a real fundamental understanding of how this shit is really showing up in my everyday environment. So I'm like, all right. My Saturn placement is Sagittarius, so shit for me, actually, it always happens last minute, and then there's this just burst of energy and knowing and intuition that actually gets me. It's like a hairline fracture, just barely making the mark, but it's precision. It's with precision, but if you ask me, I fucking winged it. And people are like, oh, you did that so well. It came out so nice. And it's like, I just pumped a fucking 4-page paper out of my ass in an hour. I just fucking crammed a week worth of work into 2 days, or, it's that kind of thing. And just at the last moment, certain things are just panning out for me. And I've come to understand not each and every, but a lot of moments where that is actually taking shape and taking form. It's like, I still get that analogy from, like, The Incredibles, where the fucking boy was fast as hell, but at the end of the movie, he held himself back to come in second. And it's like, but why would you keep coming in second when you know you could be first, and you know you could do it better, and you know you can? And it's like, well, this is the way it's been designed for me to carry shit out. But what if I intended to come in first and didn't care how super I was? Would it shake shit become like those people that I loathe? Is it because I know that I can take it too far? Is it because I know that I could go all in and focus intently on something until it comes to fruition? My manifestations do happen, but there is a detachment, a disconnect from wanting to actually don't know why. Time is essential. It's of the essence, and my essence is not in congruence with it. My essence is not in alignment with how time runs around this motherfucker. Honestly, it isn't. It's like my whole circadian rhythm, my whole biological clock is on a whole different time. My daughter and I have jokes that our past lives align with our sleep schedule. So what normally would be sunrise here, is not what our body would abide by, but more so like if we lived where we were in our past lives, which would put us like in the Middle East or in Europe somewhere. So the time is like, we're waking up at the time, we're at 3:33. We're waking up when we're supposed to, but from the recollection of a past muscle memory or a past spiritual memory. Neither here nor there. But to consider all of these things when it's like, who am I? What makes me me? Different shit like that. It's like I could choose a lane and be very comfortable, and I could make it my own, even if it isn't the one that I'm desiring the most, which that one is still yet to be paved in full. It's like continuous construction. Like if you live in the Atlanta area or know anything about Atlanta, the highway is always under construction some fucking where. Somewhere. They're doing so much expansion in Atlanta itself. But these highways and these major streets are always in repair. And they're always detouring you to other places in the meantime, in between time. But thinking of how everything is aligned in these first 5 placements, this is where the changes actually happen. Like who I am when it comes to my emotional self, what I'm looking for emotionally, how I express it, how I communicate it to my outside world, and to even have had a dream last night that brought something to my attention. I was thinking about Chiron, but it came out as me thinking of Lilith, and this being who we actually are. Like in one sense, like my Chiron being a Gemini, that I have been one, but the being in that energy is what wounded me, and therefore it's always a sore spot, or it's always the source of contention because of the memory of it never having relief or never being fully healed. And it's like, okay, well, that's what I brought here. Not just looking at North and South Node as the end-all be-all for where we've been and where we're going, but to see I'm Leo Lilith, Leo Moon, like, okay, that Aquarian energy is still very much lingering there, and I'm trying to, I can't quite grasp it. It's almost like having amnesia. So it's in those air placements, 2 of which are in my natal chart, one associated with wounding and the other one very prevalent in South Node, Mercury and Venus. It's like, okay, I'm working through these components, and maybe I'm just reaching and looking too far or too deep, which, what would it be if I couldn't go deep into it? Would I really be that interested? So it's like, all right, what I'm good at is also the bane of my existence. Whoa, I don't even know where that came from. But it's like, damn, my vice is my virtue. That's something I've always said. You can turn your vice into your virtue. In some capacity, you can. This is why, the theoretical debate about what's good and evil, or good and bad, right and wrong, it really is dependent on the application and usage. Murder is inherently bad. But if they're, I just read a story today about a man who killed his friend because he was a pedophile and raped an 8-year-old. I don't know if it was his child or the man's child, but he killed his friend, and they're not going to really hold it against him. They consider it to be, well, given the nature of what he killed him for, is it so bad? And I'm like, okay, well, any other time they would just say murder's bad. and consider it to be heinous. But then they found it to not be so bad because of what the person did. And this goes back to discernment and judgment. It's like, based on your judgment, another person may be like, well, fuck, he murdered him, so he should get the death penalty. That man's family is like, he murdered him. I know what he did, but he could have sat in jail for that. So this is how my mind works. It's just going through all of these things, like, where there's always these exceptions to the rule. Virgo's supposed to be perfectionist and have this knowing. And it is a knowing, it's a sense. It's not a action. This is why your Virgos, while they say they seek perfection, they're always trying to be perfectionists, they're so fucking imperfect naturally. But it's always knowing that you are not perfect. It's always knowing that there's something always worth improving, whether in yourself or in your environment. It's just a constant awareness that things can always be better. And it's not seeking something that's impossible. It's just seeking the sense where when your house is clean, when you're done. But if you're not done and your house is not clean, you have that sense that, damn, things still need to be done. I'm not talking about bleaching the walls or anything like that. I'm talking about if you've got a pile of unfolded laundry, if you have that closet that you've been meaning to get back to that's in disarray, or there's something very specific that you should be tackling or doing, and you keep putting it off. That's what I mean when I say there's a sense that something always needs to be done or improved or could be better. You just have the awareness that it is there. That is what Virgo energy feels like. To me, it does. It's like, this could be more efficient, or this could be done in an easier way, or could be tidied up. Could be, tie up these loose ends, these split ends, these strings that are attached. They're very tangled. Riddles and loops and fucking things left unsaid, things left unsolved. Those things kind of irk the psyche of Virgo, because we have an understanding that there should be a beginning and an end in most cases. And being a life path 7 also, there is that sense of wanting to see it, know it, get in it, understand it, analyze, investigate. And that life path 7 number, to me, is very scorpionic because of how invasive it can be and how it can get really nitty gritty. But I am almost where I began when these first five placements of mine. I'm like, okay, I'm back where I began. The first 5 of me, these placements are aligned for a reason right now. And there's something very important that I should be taking notice of. There's something very, even within myself, it's like I came across a word yesterday that really kind of struck a chord, and it was sanctimonious. And it was like, damn, that's a strong one. Where a person has a sense, like, has a feeling that they're on a morally higher ground. And it was used, the way it was used, it was like, well, these types of people hate people who are sanctimonious or whatever. But when I looked at it, it was like, damn, could that be said about me? And in some cases, I'm like, well, yeah, people may feel as if, I'm a stick in the mud, or I judge them harshly for the things that they're doing, or that I always have something to say. But what they don't realize is the reason why I do have so much input and something to say is because I've done it. And I have been there. I'm not preaching on a soapbox about what you should not do. I've done all the wrong shit to know what it's like. I have to pave the way by doing it wrong to understand how to do it right. And this is just the way that for a long time, my shit has worked out. Honestly. Doing it the wrong way first, or doing it the hard way first. This is the way that Saturn has me doing shit in order to understand the enlightened aspect of things, to understand what the highs are, because I've been given the lows first. And I understand everybody has to learn from their own mistakes. I do give people plenty room to do that. And it's their life. They have to live it, and they have to learn it the way they have to learn it. But then there are also instances where people who have had those mentors, who have had those big brothers, those big sisters, those aunts, those grandparents that really have taught them valuable lessons and guided them in certain directions, kept them from having to do things the wrong way, or the hard way, or the most damaging way first, in order to learn. And it's like, damn, if I have any input or anything to add to another person's life that would spare them the type of trauma and circumstances and situations I have been in, who am I to not share it, right? And it's because of the way that I'm put together now that people don't understand how dark things have been, what trenches I've had to, fucking claw out of. It's like really having gone to war with myself for years in ways that nobody even knew about, or they didn't have resources, advice, or anything to help with. It was pretty much like being left to just, it's like getting dropped off in the middle of a war with no platoon, with no assignment, and you just got yourself and a pistol. You have no safety. You have no cover. You have no reload of bullets. You only got what you got. The clothes on your back, no rations, no MREs, no fucking compass. But yet and still, you have to find your true north, and you have to get somewhere safe, and you have to set up, not set up shop, but pretty much just, get covered. It's like, okay, the fuck? This is reminiscent of coming out the womb, and you really don't, you are dependent on everything else around you to provide you this safety, provide you this care, supply you with the basic necessities, but having no idea what those basic necessities really are. You don't know. And so when I sit up here and I talk, don't get me wrong, a lot of shit I talk about from a place of experience. So if I'm saying some shit ain't right, it's because I've been near it, I've been damn near in it, or I've done it, and the shit has proved itself to be disastrous on an energetic tip, on a karmic tip, and what have you. When I say I've used tarot in the incorrect way for selfish means, and I got my ass handed to me. I shit you not. In the beginning, when I was given permission to even pick it up, but mind you, I had to be guided to it. Like, it was something that I was always taught, like, I don't want my family to know I'm, because even though my mom was born and raised Catholic, she went over, transitioned, or converted to Christianity or whatever. I was that kid at church and shit like that, listening to Creflo Dollar tapes and listening to sermons, and I was very much going to church on my own, calling the shuttle, come pick me fucking up, I'm going to World Changers, whatever. I very much enjoyed having something to call my own, having my own sense of what faith was, and being connected to something that I knew was much bigger than me. I always had that sense that we weren't here alone and we're not doing this by ourselves. And so I'm gonna light up another motherfucking Newport right now. I'm talking. If you're listening, then hey, if it bothers you, just being very fucking candid right now. And that's the only thing that I can do is be myself. So the presentation may not be so great for company purposes as far as my business goes, but you have to understand you're dealing with a real fucking human being, and I don't have those types of restrictions. Do what the fuck I want to do, sincerely. And so being told to pick up the tarot, it was in this state of calmness that I'm experiencing it now. It was very similar back then, and said pick it up. I knew what that voice was. I've heard that voice many times before, the same voice that tried to save my ass in all of those situations where I was up ship creek without a paddle. Had I not listened to it, I could have ended up dead, in jail, hurt badly, whatever the case may be. Like, it's that voice that you hear that says, don't walk down that dark ass alley. Take your ass the long way around. I've heard this voice before. I know it to my core. I know to trust it. I picked it up. So I'm starting to work with the tarot and stuff. This was like 2015, but I had been looking at tarot cards online and learning the meanings, getting acquainted with the energy. I would say like maybe 2006, 2005. But of course, not being able to let anybody know or to share anything about it, just merely deducing, keeping it small, like, oh, my horoscope in the paper said this, when really I'm on these sites looking at, what it means to be a Virgo sun, compatibility, looking at characteristics, looking at the tarot cards. Of course, they were only really displaying, like, when you pick cards and stuff on these sites, it would be major arcana. So those were the most impactful for me. Those are the ones I can very clearly see in my mind's eye. The Marseille deck, and I don't even have that deck in my possession, but the Death card, or the Wheel of Fortune, Judgment. Those were the three immediate ones that pretty much just, and they may have been in a spread together. And when it was describing what it was describing, I'm like, that's very broad. But I didn't know that it was pretty much explaining the next 13 years, the next cycle, the 10 to 13 year cycle I was about to go into. I really did not know. And then it being a 20, like, damn, your expanse from 10, 13 to 20 years is going to involve this type of shit. You're going to be entrenched in this type of shit to be in a place to deliver this type of shit. It spoke to me on a level that I was like, I know this is important, but I don't fully know what it means just yet. Okay, cool, whatever. I started to communicate with my niece. I think I downloaded 2012 or something. Downloaded the tarot app and started to pull cards with a question in mind about her, and it was like I was being spoken to. Like I could hear the answers. I could hear it damn near in her voice, because they gave the description of the cards, and it was like, oh, okay, but they didn't make full sense. It really didn't align with me through and through. But when I heard her voice, and it made sense, and it kind of clicked, and it was like, I get it. That's when I realized I was clairaudient. I didn't know what that was then. And I was dealing with a fucking thyroid issue and doing research papers on aura, and then I got onto chakras, and the throat chakra, first sign of it being underactive, underdeveloped, not being used fully, was the condition I was diagnosed with. And all I could do was think, well, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do? How do I balance this? How do I get it back balanced? I was led to a meditation. YouTube. I went to YouTube. Throat chakra meditation. And I immersed myself in a guided meditation. Fully and completely. Me and my daughter, while she's 3 years old, laying on the ground with the laptop open, meditating. The next time I saw the doctor and they ran the test for my thyroid hormone counts and it's the T hormone, the shit was balanced. No more medication. Something they told me I'd be on for the rest of my fucking life. So when I say this shit has a real practical application in life, that's what I mean. I challenge everyone, and I want to make this a daily fucking thing for 21 fucking days. 22. Because there are 22 major arcana. That's very symbolic. Anyway. 10 planets, 12 zodiac signs, if we're counting the sun and the moon. It's very numerologically orchestrated that way. I teach the tarot because it has those correlations. And even in Kabbalah, they show you in the 10 of Pentacles in the Rider-Waite, you can see the Merkaba. You can see this tree of life sitting here, but nobody knows. It's just a pretty design, and you see it in many places, on many different depictions, on many different cards. But what does it really fucking mean? There are pillars. There's levels to this shit. There's different sides to this shit, but they're all necessary and they all work together. This is going to bring you into better understanding of morality, ethics, what you deem is right and wrong. But those things that you deem as wrong, you'll understand the rightness of them. You'll understand that they're necessary in order to keep balance, because you cannot have more of one thing than the other. They're going to always even themselves out. And this is why, astrologically speaking, these polarities are so fucking important. Why Aries is important, but also you have to have Libra there too. And Libra is that scale. It is that difference. After that first 6 signs, Libra's there like, okay, now we're opening a new door here. Because these are one side of the whole. We have to bring in the others in order to remain balanced. So you understand, it's not just me, Aries, but it's other. There's other components to this. So when you can start to apply the energies in your practical everyday living, you have a better sense of why things are happening the way that they are, the influence behind them, and the momentum it takes to neutralize an energy that may be coming your way. You have the whole weapon, but people don't know what they're using, and they don't know how, because they don't know what they're sensing, and they don't know what they're feeling or picking up on. They don't know the influence is coming from. So it's like being blindsided with shit. If you know it's a tower moment, but you have Aries or Scorpio energy, then you actually have that power at your advantage. You can't let somebody use you against you. You have it at your disposal. You have it at your fingertips. And then to know thyself, on the flip side, your strengths could be your opposite's weakness, right? Cancer, Capricorn, Virgo, Pisces, Taurus, Scorpio, etc. You have direct access to your opposite. Their strengths are something that you need to build because they are inherently your weaknesses. It's like where the sun is closest to them, it's furthest from you. So you don't have the same exposure to that trait or that ability or that thing. You very much have all of everything you need right fucking here. And then tarot is the tool. It tells you how to use the energy that's coming in. So when we deduce or make the expressions basic for what these directions are saying, it's very much in accordance with the delivery. You could have somebody trying to teach you how to cook and they say, put X, Y, and Z in there. So you just put in an ingredient. Some people say pinch. Some people say dab. Some people say measure out a half of an eighth of a teaspoon of something. They give you more direction, right? Some people say season to taste because they assume that you have the taste that is in flow with the recipe, that your taste buds are designed to appreciate what's being orchestrated here. Not everybody has the same taste. Some people like it too salty. Some people don't like it salty at all. They want more pepper. Some people add sugar. You understand? So this is where the tarot is like any other skill. It's like cooking. It's like woodworking. It's like styling hair. It's like, doing makeup. I don't give a shit what it is. There are going to be some people who are good at it and some people who are fucking great at it. But you have to know what you're using. The tool itself is the tool. It's the skill set of the person and their understanding of what they can do. All of what they can do with this and what it really is good for. With that being said, I'm gonna break down this shit in the only way I know how. It's gonna be like a fucking surgery. It is a whole holistic, complete, naturopathic, esoteric fucking surgery. From the diagnosis, the description of what the fuck it is, all through the procedure and the healing process and the therapy that comes thereafter. It has to be whole, complete, done with care. I don't know any other way to fucking do it. So the shit may seem boring. The shit may seem daunting. The shit may seem as though there's too much information. You have to consider what I've accrued over the last 15 years in relation to tarot itself. And the perspective that only I can see. And what a disservice it would be to not fucking share that. My daughter is learning in her own way. She has no kids, though. You know, she's too young. But who's to say when they come out, they're going to be gathering around Nana asking about fucking tarot cards. This isn't something I'm going to push in anybody's direction. If you want it, we can learn this shit together. Because I have to go back to a novice mind and really explain it as if you've never heard this shit before. I tend to forget who is in it and who's coming in brand new. So I don't have my introductions. I don't go down into explaining. I just describe. I just take the energy and I run with it and I go into it. I forget that not everybody is in this position. Talking to random people about it is kind of difficult. I forget I'm using lingo they don't understand. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about transcendence. I'm talking about alignment. They're like, they still saying no pressure. Say less. I'm not with that lingo. I'm with this lingo. And so I'm going to speak what I know. So I do want to come up with a course. Of course. But the way in which that happens is only by doing it first to figure out how I can do it wrong. Without the intention of doing it wrong, but I'll be able to see where I can improve. And that shit seems like it's boring too. But it's come a time where they're telling me that constantly being the one to pull these cards, I recorded 2-3 videos yesterday and I couldn't even post them. They're like, teach the shit we've been telling you and teaching you to teach. You've only been publicly doing tarot for 5 years, 6 years. But we've exposed you to the tarot a long time ago. We put those playing cards in your hand and told you that these were people and these were energies. You know how you feel when you pull a King of Hearts. You know how you feel when you pull that Ace of fucking Spades. Which I do have branded on my damn back. Big ass spade. Crowned. That one. It just stood out so fucking much to me. So I'm just going to put this shit to good use. This energy, this mind, this information. Why? Because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I don't know how long I'm going to live. I don't know any of that. So I have to get my legacy in line. Because who the fuck is going to sift through 20-something notebooks to try to figure out my life's work? My family would probably throw them in the garbage. My daughter might keep them and eventually use them. But who's going to publish my shit? No one. I have to. I have to make my state my claim. Put my foot in some shit. Make it known who the fuck I am and where I've been, where I come from. Not even geographically or biologically or talking about energetically. Why this shit makes sense. And why it's so fucking useful. And being misused. You know? It's like the tool in the wrong hands. You know, you got stray bullets everywhere. And people are getting harmed unintentionally by being just in the vicinity of motherfuckers who don't know what they're doing with what they've got, or don't know the full extent of what they have. So there's been a lot of talks and a lot of people who have been saying that this new age, which there is nothing new under the sun, so it isn't new age. It's just that people are using the tarot in ways that hasn't been used before. But the pattern of it being misused is very much repetitive. And so they're saying it's demonic now because of the way that they've used it or seen it be used, misused, and they see what parts of the shadow it brings out in them or in others that are using it. And therefore they associate the tool itself with the actions and messages that other people are actually pumping out. They're ascribing something negative to a tool because of how other people are using it. Sound familiar in a lot of ways. It's one tool, and the intention was never to harm. But with everything, you're going to have balance. You're going to have people who misuse it, and then also people who use it rightly. This is why every fucking thing that you own has a direction of use. They tell you how not to use it. Correct? Your soap, it says it's not for internal use. Do not ingest. Do not get it in your eyes. And if you do, this is what you do to amend it. You got to flush your eyes out with water. Call the poison control. There are precautions with everything. So when I tell people this is no different. Because it doesn't say not to use it for certain things. People are under the assumption you can use it for those other things. And when they take it too far or start to do damage with it, there's no recoup. There's no way to neutralize, course correct, or administer emergency care for it. People are delivering these tarot messages. Just like you have people who give sermons and twist and turn the biblios to fit their agenda where it's right for them. Right? It's a tool. They don't tell you how not to use it. They just tell you to use it. They just say it's there for your use. Pretty cyclical. The patterning. So, for things to be esoteric and hidden, there was a reason. Not because it was negative, but because it's harmful when in the wrong hands. This is what you always must understand. This is a reason why they tell you that kids should not play with blind strings. They shouldn't play with plastic bags. They shouldn't play with knives. There is all these precautions about who should not, or the application is not meant for. Do not use on this, and this. Do not put this thing in this thing. This is why you don't have sockets near your bathtub. You know, there are these warnings and symbols everywhere, but they're not on the tarot. And that's why the Fool. Does the Fool come first or does it come last? It depends on who's using it. But you have to go through that whole tarot where a person has something and they manifest shit with it till they get to the world and they realize, damn, I did it wrong. So now I have to use the full energy in order to do it right. It is the end and the beginning. The Omega. I didn't expect to come into this message. I just be, I don't know. And the tarot is not designed to disrespect what you believe in. It's not designed to tell you, well, if you believe that tarot is a tool you can use, that means you don't believe in your Jesus or your God or your Allah or your whomever, Mother Gaia, whomever, whatever, your multiple gods, your Orishas, you know, your Greek gods. It doesn't matter what it is. If you can't find use in relation to the practical life that you're living, then it's just a game. The Rider-Waite Tarot is literally published by U.S. Games for entertainment purposes. but it's a tool. So it can turn into a good game that you actually learn something from, or it can turn into some shit from Jumanji. It really depends on who the fuck is playing and what they've got going on, because that's what's gonna come out. All the things that their mind can create when they see these images, and it tells you some of the most dark shit you've heard in so long. You're like, that's what those cards said? That was in you for it to be brought out of you. It's not just a message. You could be channeling, yes, but if your mind could not conceive or perceive something so dark, it would not come out of you. You can only bring out what you know. If it's back there in the subconscious, what is it? Oh, that's light. I was about to say, what's on my neck? If you can't clearly perceive something, you won't be able to clearly vocalize. You can be given certain shit that you have never heard before, but I promise you there is a correlation with something somewhere you've come across, just a glance at a word, or a glance at a news story, or overhearing a conversation about a certain situation, or something that you notice. That shit does come out in these cards because it's to your knowledge. So it's subconscious things that are being triggered by all these little influences that you have picked up on along the way, along with where your logical mind can use it. So when you see some people with some really, really dark messages, they have a lot of entity association behind the scenes attached to these topics and these things, or energies they have associated themselves with that have association with these things, and they have the influence now. So they may not be all that bad of a person, but the things that are within their energy field, this is why I talk so harsh about protection, why I advocate for it so fucking much. My Leo, Moon, and Lilith are fucking fierce when it comes to protecting innocence, when it comes to protecting children, when it comes to protecting that inner child that you fucking have. So much so that it now, as an adult, you have your higher self trying to teach the adult self how to raise the inner child. If you don't understand, you have the mother, maid, and crone energy within you at all times. You're still parenting yourself every day when you make yourself do certain things and develop new habits or stop certain shit. You're still parenting yourself, but it's coming down the pipeline. You have your own upline. Your higher self, your guides, your ancestors, whatever it is that you're really getting these divine influences from. You do have access to what, when you know better, you do better, and you can know better, and then you have to practically apply it to do better. You're parenting yourself. So there is no outside coddling coming, but you're only going to be taught the basics by a guardian, supplied with what you need from a guardian. But in essence, you have to walk for yourself. They can help you, but your feet have to move. You can start to brush your own teeth. You can start to wipe your own butt. But first you have to be guided by the guardian. And they're going to show you. First they're going to do it for you. Then they're going to start showing you. Then you have to learn. Then you have to just keep doing it until it is now muscle memory and it's something you do for yourself all the time. You don't need to be told. It's just something innate. When you see a toilet, now you got to pee because you were potty trained, where before you were pissing and shitting on yourself. This is just the basics of how things work. And so I'm being put in a position to just teach you the basics, to be a guardian, guard the stars, celestial securities, to just teach you the basics so that you can apply them for yourself. So your discernment and your discrimination is so keen that you know the difference. You feel the difference. Energetically, it'll just hit you like a wave. You know when you hear a lie. You know when you feel it. You know when you hear the truth. You know how it feels. There's just these sensors that go off within you. And energy is so influential and so subtle. I know when I'm hearing a reader and she's just talking about herself. I've caught myself doing that, and I'm like, I gotta scrap this reading. Or this reading is not for, and it's like, okay, I need to take a break. I can't come on here and read about my life story to everybody and call it a collective reading. What I want to happen in my relationship, I can't come on here and call it a reading for someone else. I can't project myself into this shit. I really do have to be clear. I have to be a clear channel. Otherwise, it's misleading. You're not getting that from a lot of readers. They're just, I'm telling you, it's serious out here. Anytime something becomes accessible to the masses, it is now threatened to be misused. That is just how things go. It is always like that with everything. Challenges getting taken too far, where people are getting hurt. When they were pouring alcohol on themselves and lighting themselves on fire, the ALS challenge, the crates, every fucking thing that people are doing, they take it too fucking far. Somebody is going to misuse it. I just want you to know how to use it so you can recognize how to not misuse it. It's the same reason why I studied hypnosis. Same reason why I study NLP. Same way, I just want to know when people are saying those trigger words and trying to put people in trance, because you have to, for hypnosis to work, your psyche has to be open and you have to be receptive to the person delivering the messages to you. And so if your mind is receptive to that person, their suggestions are going to be taken in by you subconsciously. A lot of people are using hypnosis in their readings. They're using certain trigger words and certain things that the psyche grabs onto and holds close. Certain things that resonate with them. Just one word, and then the whole message seeps in because it has access. I don't know how else to warn. And it's like, okay, just don't warn them then. Don't tell them not. Just show them what to use or how to use it or how to see or what they're looking at or what they're looking for or what they're seeing. You can't tell anybody what to see, but you can guide them in a direction. And once they recognize it, they can't unsee it. That's it. I cannot be the only one who sees it. I can't. I mean, a lot of people have come forward and spoken on it, but the way that if I could really just break the shit apart and break it down to people, and then you see it, you're like, oh, fuck. She's been doing that for 2 years, 3 years to people. Flocks. So yeah, that was interesting. I thought that my purpose would be activated when my Saturn returned, and I thought it would be activated. I think the height of my activation will be when my Jupiter return comes. Again, I think it'll really be like blaringly apparent Jupiter is in what? Pisces? Well, it's in Aquarius. It's retrograde in Aquarius and it's in Pisces. But after that, it's going to be in Aries. So I feel it. Not only will it be my North Node alignment with that Aries energy, but not too far off, my North Node will be back in Aries. So I still have another couple years to really perfect what the fuck I'm doing. It's like I'm only getting bits and pieces at a time. And I have to figure out if I'm getting this puzzle piece and this puzzle piece and they don't quite fit, I'm still waiting for more pieces to be dropped in my lap so I can make this whole shit very clear. And I'm doing my best with what I've got. And the picture has to unfold either way. I still have to I still have to create. I still have to try. It's a lot. It's a lot. Not really. So, if I'm not recording, just understand I'm planning. I'm getting the game plan down. Because there really needs to be some kind of regulatory system. Like, and you can't really govern it legally. Even though I'm a part of a tarot association, not everybody is they pick up cards and they learn the cards from the readers that they watch. And then they regurgitate the meanings of these cards from the readers that they've watched. That's how they do their tarot thing. Some of them study on their own. I see some that actually do study and In.Tu.It and really use the energy that's being actually given to them. And they're pretty dope readers out here. Really pretty dope readers. And then you have those who sow confusion and sow doubt and amplify those types of things within people. Those are strategically placed chaos agents. So if you're on that side of things, you're going to do your part in sowing the chaos. And you may think you're doing the good work. Spirit. Baphomet's a spirit. Beelzebub's a spirit. Lucifer is a spirit. Asmodeus is a spirit. Those are all spirits. Are they considered benevolent? Not in most cases. Archangel Michael, that's a spirit. Angel, spirit, essence, energy, whatever you want to call it. But he'll also cut a motherfucker up too. He carries a weapon. He's so you got to understand your spirits have multiple uses. Multiple. Even the ones that we see as good. Right? They all have polarity. They all are designed in a particular way. And they can use them. They're just using tools, but the application of them can vary from different angles, which could be positive or seen as negative and harmful. You gotta understand what you're dealing with. They don't know morality. They only know what they're designed to do. And each planet has an exaltation and a detriment. But so do those energies and those archangels associated with those planets. So to really understand some shit, you have to know. You gotta know. You gotta know. There's an equivalent. Michael has an equivalent, but he also has some suits to him that are not pleasant in all applications, that could be used to cause discord as well. Because he's capable. He has it within him. Just like we have shadows and it's within us, and we can use things in the wrong way. But like I said, you can turn a vice into a virtue. That's a transmutation trait. I don't know what else to say. I gotta get to planning. This shit ain't gonna write itself. These books aren't gonna write themselves. This lesson plan is not gonna write itself. And it has to be done in a way that's actually beneficial to those who are learning it, to the lives of them, to the spiritual understanding that they have to come into on their own, so they can be more knowledgeable on what certain markers and checkpoints that they're going through really look like. Is it a spiritual attack? Is it black magic? Or is it a thought that you had when you were not in such a positive state that's coming back as a manifestation? Because you are that powerful. The moment you're not thinking about it anymore and it blindsides you, now it is seemingly out of nowhere, coming from another source when it actually belongs to you. With your worst case scenarios, with that overthinking, actually come to life and find you where you are. It feels like it's an attack. And how could it affect you so much? You created it, so it knows you, because it's from you. That's how it knows how to affect you so much. Nobody else on this earth can affect you that much. Nobody even fucking knows you that much to affect you that much. Not except for your own mind. Your own subconscious mind. That's the only way. That's the only place where it's all at. Nobody's digging into your Akashic records. They really can't do so without your express permission. It really is safeguarded. So just know, there are going to be spiritual and energetic and physical, emotional, mental repercussions for people who do dabble in being that invasive in other people's shit. It really is. So I want to give you the application. I'm telling you, my grandfather, he's been deceased for a very long time. Was it 2 decades? 2.5? 2 decades at least. He came through when I first started reading tarot and using it to pry into my ex's life. He came out when the Ace of Swords hit, he said, cut it out. And he said the shit so loud, and I was in a room by myself. It was silent. I couldn't deny who it was. I knew exactly who it was. And I have never seen this man in person a day in my life, and I don't even remember talking to him on the phone. But I knew who it was. So, more so than anything, I aligned with that Ace of Swords. It's triumph, it's victory, but it also cuts through the motherfucking bullshit. And that if that's who I gotta be, that's who I gotta be. Either it's gonna be sharp and cutting, or it's gonna be blunt, cause a lot of damage. Or it could be used to cut things with precision, like a scalpel, where it's less painful. It's so quick, it's so sharp. You don't even know it's there until you put on some fucking hand sanitizer, and it's like, damn, I got a paper cut? When did that happen? The truth itself is going to cut through any illusion. And that's what I'm here to do. Simply put. But all along the way, my own illusions get cut the fuck down too. And I love it. I love learning the truth about shit. Even if it means what I thought I knew is false. That gives me a better understanding. And it motivates me to keep learning truth. No matter what it is. Even my own bullshit ideologies. When they're faced with the truth and I can't deny the truth itself, I'm like, damn. And then I look at what I've previously believed and what other signs and synchronicities I've had that were red flags that I did not notice at first, did not notice along the way, and situations that were caused by the false ideology or belief that I had about certain things. So it's a teachable moment at all times. Some people don't like that. So I understand. Some people don't fucking like it. They don't like to ever feel like they're wrong about something that they believe so strongly in. But that's the point of all of this. We're here to learn how to not be so rigid, how to actually have an open mind and not just be open to suggestion and idea, but we've only been using logic, and this is the part of the mind that needs to come in alignment with it. There's a reason why there's a membrane that connects the two sides of the brain. Not all civilizations of humans had that. They didn't have this separateness. We're just getting back to being whole. That's it. Your brain, the poles of your energies, you are one whole battery. And if you're only using positive or only focusing on negative, you're shaming the totality of you by not using it what it's practically designed for. I hope that made sense. I'm gonna get the fuck up out of here, off of here. I got shit to do. Plan, think, write. I'll see what I can do about the cards, but they're telling me not. It's not time to keep regurgitating what they're saying. Not in that way. They want to tell a bigger story. They want to tell you something else. They want to really have you telling time and seeing transits and the bigger, the micro and the macro. They really want you to see the above and the below, or to be able to see the above and the below at all times. Not just to have a third eye open to certain things, but to put a fucking magnifying glass in front of that third eye and double stack it. Double stack it. Your vision is going to be far more clear than 20/20. That's just the standard. How well you can read something from 20 feet away. But hey, I'm gonna get out of here. I will check in with you guys soon, and hopefully have an update on where this is going next, because it feels like it's about to get really busy really soon, about to really take off. This planning stage is really about to take me. I knew Virgo energy was going to hit me as far as work and production was concerned, but I didn't know in what way. I just know that when I get in certain energy, I have to use it the way that is best, most productive for me. No matter what sign or what energy it is, it has to have I have to be able to make it real. Otherwise, it's just theory. It's just energy. It's just is. It's just sitting there unused, untapped. It's a resource though. So that's why I have to use it and make sure that I know how. It is a skill. So I'll talk to y'all later.